All right, welcome back to our final part 8 of chapter number 3, dealing with Persia and Greece. And we're going to look at other Persian empires. So the first Persian empire is the Achaemenid Empire, and that one is eventually destroyed and conquered by Alexander the Great. But after Alexander's death, we see that new Persian empires will eventually come to power. The first one is the Seleucid Empire. And this is kind of the largest chunk of Alexander's former empire, and this was ruled by Greeks. Okay, primarily it was ruled by Greeks. So these are, the generals and their descendants, those who were working with and were loyal with Alexander the Great. So here we see the Seleucid kingdom, and the Seleucids they had difficulty in trying to keep control of their population because even though they were the rulers, the Greeks were the rulers, they were the tiny minority, and majority of the people, there were Persians, there were Mesopotamians, there were a million other ethnicities and religious groups. And the Seleucids, they were trying to get people to come into their empire. They were trying to get the Greeks and Macedonians to immigrate, but it was a long distance, and it wasn't like on the friendliest terms because the population was pretty hostile to the Greeks. So eventually, we see a lot of the different satraps, the local bureaucratic leaders, they revolted against the Seleucid kings, and eventually they will get overthrown, and a new empire will rise, which is called the Parthians. And notice how, again, they continued using the same type of coins, from the time of Alexander, even the time of Cyrus. Next, we have the Parthians, and you notice that they lost a lot of the territory up by Turkey. Right, so this is a smaller region, but still composing of Persia and Mesopotamia. Those are the two big regions. So the Parthians, they will last for a longer period of time. Many of them, they would fight against the Romans, which we'll talk about in the next chapter, quite frequently. And they're the ones who will stop, right? So the Roman borders lead pretty much up to here, right? They will never cross into Mesopotamia, and it's the Parthians who stopped Rome's conquest of the Middle East. And they fought for a very long time. And the Parthians, they originally came from the north, from Central Asia. They migrated, they took over, and then they kicked out the Seleucids. Eventually, we have the last one called the Sassanids, right? And the Sassanids, notice that the territory is even smaller than before. So you have the Romans over here. You have another empire of the Indians called the Gupta over here, and in the middle we have the Sassanids. The Sassanids, they're more of they come later on, and then they stop. They're going to notice that they're going to be very much in support of Zoroastrianism, which was the original religion of the first Persian Empire. But this time around, instead of being tolerant, they're going to be completely intolerant. And by that time, we see a large population of Christians living in this region of the world, and they're going to be persecuted. You see them here getting executed and killed. So the Sassanids kind of become these like intolerant people. So they're not, they're completely different than the original Achaemenid, the first Persian Empire. And eventually, the Sassanids themselves will get conquered by the Muslims, which is a whole other thing, which we'll talk about in a whole other chapter, which is the beginning of unit or time period number 3. So those are the other Persian empires, right? Just little details about them here and there. All right, thanks for watching all of chapter 3. See you next time.